do the right thing and doing that right thing are two different things. The latter is the real deal. The members of House of Representatives are yet to implement their resolution to slash their salaries by 50% for the next 6 months. The slash has not been effected as promised, as the House spokesman, Akin Rotimi, admitted that the lawmakers collected their full July salaries. But the lawmakers blamed the delay on necessary administrative procedures and coordination with financial institutions. Gentlemen, are you surprised? Because, I mean, I'm not. I just wonder why they blame bureaucracy every time for everything good and bad. They bought expensive SUVs the last time. They didn't say they said they didn't have an option because bureaucracy did it. They didn't do it. So I don't know. Let me start with you.
Let me tell you, no, in fairness to them, they don't get paid by themselves. So they don't pay themselves. That's what I'm. So, and when you talk, you need to do paper. Okay. You know, in government, there has to be approvals, paper. And if there's nothing on paper, there's nothing.
Yeah, so that means they didn't.
No, it's not. Even if this president speaks that, oh, I have, you have to put something on paper. That's what they work with. So, especially when it has to do with money. The agencies working, I mean, the government working around the payment and all of that, don't listen to what somebody says on TV and outside. Okay, no. There has to be approvals and approvals and approvals, the due process. So, in fairness, if they get their full salary, it is the system that we should blame, not the lawmakers.
Really? I mean, when they made that decision, they could have put it on paper and send it to whatever department or unit they should have sent it to. Because it was a public announcement. Yeah. And I'm sure bureaucracy should have heard.
I think, just like my colleague said, we need to appreciate them, at least for admitting that there's a need to make sacrifice.
Yes. You know. And the fact that they came out to say we've not.
And also, it means that the process has started. You know, it may get more concessions. And also the other interesting thing is that, just like you have said, for Honorable Akin Rotimi to come out and even admit, oh, we are sorry, we regret what has happened. I think those are positive signals. And I also say kudos to Honorable Ibrahim Isiaka from Ewekoro, who moved that motion. You know, I think it's a very good thing. However, it shows that even though they are lawmakers, they have now seen clearly that their laws are not even being obeyed. Simple laws that we have made. You know, and that tells you how complex Nigeria is. The lawmakers have made a law that, look, take 50% of our salary. That's all not been implemented.
No, is it a law or resolution?
It's a resolution. It's almost like
that resolution is not a law.
Yeah, you are right. So the fact of the matter is that you have made a decision that has been ignored by your own government, by your own institution. And when we are blaming...
Was it ignored? Because Adekunle says they were supposed to put it on paper.
For how long? If they want to approve their money, how long does it take them to get their money? If you want to get allowance, how long will they take them to get allowance? They need to put it through paper. It shouldn't take more than 1 month. So when they are talking about bureaucracy is not a man or woman. Bureaucracy is one man sitting down somewhere. It's human beings. You know, it's inefficiency, ineptitude. That is what we are talking about. And you know, when they are talking about this, I now read what the Honorable said, that look, 50%, not of the total package of the basic salary. And that amounts to 300,000 naira. So as Nigerians, we still need to ask more questions. If we are to save 300,000 naira every month, or we are talking about 360 lawmakers, that will give us about 108 million naira, you know, in 1 month. And in 6 months, that will give us about 648 million naira. So the question is, what do they want to use the money for? What is the mechanism? Yes, you want to use it to, you know, you are shedding weight and all that, but what is the process that who are the end users of these funds? Are we putting the money as a kind of scholarship for people? Are we providing boreholes? Are we buying palliatives? Are we investing the money into agriculture? Then who are those people that will manage these funds? That the funds will not end up in private pockets. And I think why I commend the lawmakers, it is not enough. If it is true that senators take 13 million naira, that's allowances. They are talking about salary, 600,000 for House of Rep, and then senators, you know, maybe less than 1 million naira. If it is true that allowances are not that, they take 13 million naira. That gives us 1,471,000,000 naira per month that we are paying to senators. For House of Rep, it's 3.3 billion. And I think this is not right, given what Nigerians are going through. You know, somebody died recently, just a few years ago. He was the deputy leader of Chief Obafemi Awolowo. He died at the age of 100. Chief Akomolabe at Ibadan. He was a school principal at Tikitiparapa College. He was in the House of Rep, leader of opposition, but he had his work as a teacher. He was earning salary as a, as a school principal of, first generation secondary school in Ekiti State. So when they want to have their sitting, he will leave the college and come to Lagos to sit in the parliament. If you look at our parliaments, we are not there, but you can sit on screen. Most of the time, half of those seats are empty.
Always empty.
So, and you get paid this kind of huge amount for their own interest, or for our own interest. I think we should, the revenue mobilization committee should do something. They need to reduce this salary. So, because if you look at what is going on all over the world, we need to show good examples to Nigerians that genuinely we want to make sacrifices. I don't think cutting just 200,000 naira for 6 months, I don't think that will convince Nigerians that they are already ready for.
Even when we are talking about their salary, is the salary the issue or the allowances?
The allowances.
The figure is in the allowances. Believe me, what they take home every month is enormous.
Something million.
And when we talk that Nigeria is broke, Nigeria doesn't have money, the economy is not ripe for it and all of that, believe me, do we need bicameral?
A typical example of the absence you talked about.
So do we truly need, a bicameral legislature? I don't think so.
That's one of the demands of the protesters.
We need to do something. If we really want to cut, cost of governance, this is one of the areas we should look into. Why do we have to have the Senate and have the House of Rep? We can scrap one. And all of us will be the better for it. Look at the level of poverty in our country. Look at the infrastructural deficit. Look at unemployment crisis. Look at hunger. Look at everything. We need to free resources for other better purposes. But not overfeeding.
Let me stay with you, Mr. Adekunle. Beyond the conversation, beyond just talking about for us to adopt a unicameral legislature, with the way Nigeria is positioned today, how can that work?
How can one?
Yes, a unicameral legislature work.
Why will it not work? How many do you have in the House of Reps? Most of the things you do in the Senate, you bring to the House to do again. So is it not about?
So my question is, today, if we were to scrap the Senate or the House of Rep, how do we go about it? That's the question.
How do each state has 3 senators in the Senate? It doesn't stop anything if you scrap in the House of Reps, or if you scrap the Senate. It's already there. There's nothing you just.
I think it can come
do you understand my question?
Yeah, it can come through process of a new constitution.
Okay.
Now we can now agree, among ourselves that look, due to public prayer, we need good conscience to ensure that we have. So it could take us maybe the next 3-4 years, so that next election there'll be nothing like election into House of this, House of that. Just one,
and the functions, both of them are performing today. One,
can
do
it looks like it's just the House of Reps members that have announced a pay cut. I don't know if the Senate has announced, but if not, what do you expect of the Senate?
I expect the Senate to show more higher responsibility, by saying, okay, you have done this, we also, and then the 36 states houses of assembly, they can also do the same thing. If we
even though we don't know whether those houses are getting that kind of.
I know most of them. But
because with what we see, I don't think many of them get as much as. But at the federal level, it is a big issue. It's a big issue, and it can be solved. But I know it's very difficult. Difficult in the sense that Yoruba will say, so you are the problem, you want to solve the problem. It's always difficult. How do you take the food from your mouth? It's very difficult. So it takes extra patriotism for them to do it.
So let's go back to this issue of adopting a unicameral legislature. Because one of these houses is supposed to serve as check on each other. So if we adopt a unicameral legislature, who does that?
Ooh.
In the first place, when we are talking about the parliament, we are talking about multiplicity of roles. Yes. And it starts from 36 states, houses of assembly. Mm-hmm. Why did you need that? You know, the entire Southwest used to have one. The entire Western region, up to Delta and Edo, one. So it means when you're having a commissioner for agriculture, one.
Yes.
When you're having a commissioner for finance, one.
Yes.
But now, you add Edo, Delta, plus 6 states, 8 states. Look at how many, and you can imagine the kind of funds we are spending. Not to talk about where the governors live. That has no address anyway. It's a whole huge village, you know, in 8 governors. So the cost for a country that is just emerging out of, trying to, a third world country, I think this is just too much. So before you now go to the federal level, the House of Assembly, 360 members, and then senators, 109, I don't think we need all that. But it needs a lot of political will and courage. All
right, gentlemen, let's move on quickly. To say that the Ajaukuta steel complex in Kogi State meant to generate economic